After the birth of her son that she was infected with HIV and that she had passed the virus on to him. Today on Alive and Well, Diane Atwood continues her reports on women and HIV.
She has a guest with her, and as usual, we'll let Diane make the introductions.
Thank you. My guest today is Dr. Rob Smith. He's an infectious disease specialist. He's also director of Maine Medical Center's AIDS Consultation Service. Welcome.
Thank you.
I've got something on my mind. I've had an opportunity to talk to lots of women about HIV and AIDS over the past month, and I keep hearing a story that disturbs me. Women who have gone in with symptoms, unusual symptoms, and the doctors have tested them for everything but HIV, even when the women have insisted, I think I might need an HIV test. Why does that happen, that this connection isn't made in the doctor's office?
I think the face of the epidemic is changing, and what had been thought of as in many physicians' minds as an epidemic only or largely of gay men or men who are IV drug users is becoming more and more an epidemic that involves lots of other people, of course, but it includes women. And actually, women are the fastest growing group of people who are increasing in terms of the rate at which they're getting AIDS, such that recent data show that nationally 15% of people diagnosed with AIDS were women, and in Maine 10% of people diagnosed with AIDS in the last year were women. So it's an marked increase over the last 5 or 6 years. And I think this is something that takes a while for physicians to get aware of and to think about when they see someone who looks healthy and well in their office. I think another factor we have to deal with is that we're seeing more cases coming from rural areas, so that again, we have to think about the epidemic in a broader way than we have previously.
Couple of questions. What should the physician, what should the woman be aware of in terms of early symptoms in women?
Well, women and men have usually pretty similar symptoms with the virus, in that early on they may get a flu-like illness soon after infection that may last for a few weeks and then disappears. And then for a long time, people are usually without symptoms, and actually that may last up to 10 years after infection. So people can be well and without symptoms for a long period of time and be infected with the virus. The kinds of things that would make you think of HIV would be somebody who has a progressive illness that might be associated with weight loss or persistent or increasing fatigue and weight loss and fevers, glandular swelling. If somebody has, a woman has really persistent and difficult to treat yeast infections, there are many other causes for that, but one of the things we now have to think about, along, certainly not by any means the most common cause, but one thing we have to think about is HIV infection. So in women, the symptoms are similar to men, except for increasing problems with gynecologic infections and also an increased risk of cervical cancer.
Do you treat them the same as you do men? And how can you if we haven't even done very many studies on women and HIV?
Well, the studies are underway, and there's a lot more information coming out on the natural history of the disease in women and on treatments. And yes, in general, the treatment is very similar to that in men, in that we use the same sorts of drugs and the same sorts of doses for most of the same conditions. But this is still an area where studies are ongoing, and I think we have a lot more to learn.
Okay, and the numbers are still small in Maine, but you've got your work cut out for you.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, that's what we have for Alive and Well today. I'll be back on Monday with Alive and Well and a new topic. Back to you, Robin Ursula.
All right, Diane, have a good weekend. Many people, even healthcare professionals, still see AIDS as a gay man's disease.
News Center's Diane Atwood is here to tell us how that attitude can have a devastating effect on women with HIV as she continues her special assignment, Women of Courage, Living with HIV. Diane?
Well, Pat, here's what I've been told by several women. They went to their doctors with symptoms, fatigue, no energy, recurrent vaginal infections, and they were told it's depression, PMS. Some women asked to be tested for HIV, and their doctor said, oh, it isn't necessary. Let's see what damage that attitude can do to an entire family.
Well, if she's all dirty, what's she got to do?
Family means a lot to Barbara Anastasopoulos. She depends on hers. And her son, Christopher, well, without him, she says life wouldn't be worth living. The scary part is, that's exactly what Barbara is facing.
4 years ago, Christopher tested positive for HIV, the virus that causes AIDS.
That's one day I'll never forget, because I didn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. I started screaming and crying.